I have an issue with. I think you do too. So I think people want transparency around some of this, but at the end of the day, I think the issues somewhat get a little blown out of proportion.
I think, honestly, we're living in a day and age where you're going to see some new leaders emerge. And the reason I say that is because a lot of this article that I read, as money tightens and oil boom fights for its share, I could have read it 20 years ago, I could have read it 30 years ago. It was almost like a cyclical thing. As soon as they started going to the old East versus West, this is where I think new leaders are going to emerge. And I do believe Doug Burgum is the first one to do it. He came out and he said, we're going to do some things new here. We're going to reinvent government. We're going to think outside the box. And when he got into the oil industry, he saw very quickly what I think you saw and what I saw. These guys are kings of the economy. These guys do not get subsidies, they give out the subsidies. These guys pay a lot of taxes. These guys do a lot of environmental stewardship. These guys, they want to keep their nose clean, and they will spend money to keep their nose clean because that's how it works. They also know they like to work hard, they like to play hard, they like to give back to their economy. They're good capitalists, to be perfectly honest. Do they bat 100%? Well, no. Guess what? If you bat 300 in baseball, you're in the Hall of Fame. If you shoot 50% in basketball, you're in the Hall of Fame. In business, if you get over 50%, you're getting in the Rough Rider Hall of Fame in North Dakota. What, 10, 20% return is supposed to be good, okay? So what we're doing right now is, I think you're going to see some new leaders emerge because the oil and gas industry is rewriting their business model. The media is rewriting that. We have 3 different recordings going right now because we got to hit Facebook, we got to hit YouTube, I got to hit the radio, I got to get in the newspaper, I got to get in the magazine because my grandma reads magazines, my grandpa reads newspapers, my nephew looks at YouTube, my son looks at Facebook, and I just mixed them up and I'm getting my wires all crossed. And Mike and I like to have a glass of wine on a Friday afternoon.
We're humanists. We just like to hang out and talk.
What I'm getting at is a new leader is going to emerge to say, we need to take a look at how we do things differently. And I've already talked to Sean Kessel out in Dickinson, and this is a topic for another day when we're talking about a sales tax. It's going to take percolation of your perception to understand that we no longer can look at sales tax as a way to project population. Something called Amazon and the internet eradicated that whole thought process, and we as leaders in the state have not adapted yet. Those are the examples I'm trying to talk about. Oil and gas, media, kings of the economy are rewriting their business models. It's trickling down. We cannot legislate. We cannot lead the same way anymore. Look at Eric Hatch. Eric Hatch, #1 real estate guy in North Dakota. He was a mid-level realtor at Keller Williams not even 5 years ago. #1 guy in the state. He reinvented his industry. People are trying to figure out how he did it. He's just a natural-born leader and reinvented. Now he's off coaching businesses how to share that knowledge and become successful. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to tick anybody off. I'm going to the API Christmas party tomorrow. Richard Wardner might...
You will probably take some.
He might shake me a little bit and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was in that story. Actually, Richard Wardner, you were one of the ones that actually did a pretty good job in this story. And I like him a lot, and him and I get along really well. But what I'm getting at is that there needs to be a little bit of switch. Okay, sorry, Mike. I was on my...
We have a pause.
We're pausing? Okay, that's fine. We'll go to this camera then.
Oh.
How about we take a quick break and we come back?
Or is it working?
We're off, right?
Yeah, we're off.
Okay, good. We're live there, so we'll take a break.
Yeah, we'll take a little...
Let's fill up our lines.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we come back.
For some reason, it disconnected.
That's how it goes.
What happens? Is it just because of the Wi-Fi?
Are you on the Wi-Fi or
No, I'm not
network?
on the Wi-Fi. I'm on my network. I don't know why.
Maybe you should go on the Wi-Fi.
I could. I don't know login.
You log in?
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. Are you ready?
Sure.
Whenever you are.
I'm ready. Okay.
Welcome back.
No. Yeah, I don't know why it's not connecting here.
Good. I'm glad that workers still using there.
What?
Glad that workers
There we go.
Nice.
And
So
we're back.
Yes.
Welcome back, and I guess my energy and soapbox just knocked us offline really fast. But no, to summarize is that, listen, Mike's not here, I'm not here, Ben wasn't here this last week to ruffle any feathers. It's just after going to Western North Dakota, because like Mike and I have talked about, a lot of people in Fargo just really haven't been out there. They don't understand what's going on out there. And once you understand and see what's happening out there, see the quality of life increases, you will understand why. Okay, that's all right.
Technology.
We'll just take a 5-minute break.
It's just buffer or what?
It just like cut me off.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Just stop.
It's just technology.
That's all right. I mean, that's why I was thinking we should probably go in like 20-minute intervals, you know?
Right. Yeah, you do.
And then take a break.
Yeah.
And then almost like totally restart the whole Apple thing.
Because it spirals it out.
Well, because remember that one time it said your memory's getting close to full?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Oh.
Technology, you can't live with it, and you can't do it with it.
I know it.
You just want to restart it?
Yep, that's
phone?
what I did. I cut it off.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't restart the phone.
Well, no, is that an Apple? On Apples, it like restarts the whole computer. It's like
Oh,
Okay.
did it record
Alright.
the program? Like
Oh,
on
yeah.
Facebook Live.
Oh, I think so.
I posted the first half.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Oh, yeah.
I know we got it here too.
Second, yeah, you got it all.
Pointing around and doing, isn't that funny?
Jeez.
Isn't that just, but it's true. That's what you got to do.
You got redundancies, just in case, right?
Well,
Can you believe it? It's 50 degrees.
It's insane.
It's dry as a bone here, and there's no snow.
I know.
I can't believe it.
I love it.
It's, I mean,
My son hates it.
I'm
He
gonna go
wants
on
snow.
vacation for a couple, 2 weeks, like whenever after Christmas. I'm like, geez, I'm gonna miss the winter here. I don't even know what's going on.
I am not. I'm gonna move south the minute I get a chance.
I don't know.
Although
I like it.
I'm gonna have a hard time.
I like this weather where it's like 50 degrees or
But no,
40 degrees.
It's the wind that gets me.
Yeah.
Oh,
The wind
yeah.
in my face.
My
and-
trampoline was in my neighbor's yard yesterday. Like it blew over the lake, totally blew over the lake, and I had to like have some guys come out and get it out of the like my association called. They go, we trampolines in the lake. I'm like, oh, that's right, it's not frozen. Thing had like tumbled over the lake. This thing's 300-pound trampoline. It's like 45. I'm like, what was that, tornado? I mean, I slept.
Yeah, winds were what, almost 60 miles
It was
an hour.
great. Yeah, it was straight line winds. It was unbelievable.
Still got an hour on that. But
Do you have it on that one? Is that-
yeah, I'll edit that. Hopefully, I won't need to. I mean, I can, but in fact, that one I'll probably put on YouTube.
Yeah, that's how it's good. But you don't edit it.
Alright, are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll try this again here. See what happens.
Welcome back to the weekly Bakken get together. My name is Jason Spiess. This is Mike Marcil.
You can insert it.
We are, yeah, I'm glad that you folks took a break. We did. We fixed a few things here. We realized about every 20, 30 minutes we should probably reset and maybe take a commercial. So
Perils of technology.
not only do commercial breaks probably work for bathroom breaks, but they also work for technology breaks as well. So that's probably why the television shows probably did it anyway. So
Well,
okay.
So we were talking about.
We're talking about so the oil and gas industry, Harold Hamm, John Gibson from One Oak, as well as Jim Volker from Whiting, all three of them told me personally that they're rewriting their business plan, basically, because of technology. Completely changed everything. Fracturing, hydraulic fracturing, and horizontal drilling changed everything. The media. I'm in the media. I spent over $200,000 in the 2009 period on a website, and that about did it for my business. 10 years later, about 50–60% of the other media companies went that way too. I just hemorrhaged really quick. The other people hung on. A little bit of that going on right now in Western North Dakota.
Well, everybody's
by the
a
way.
publisher now.
But that's exactly right. Everyone is a publisher now. So where I'm getting at is that a lot of other people have had to rewrite their business models. I truly believe the politician and the leader has to rewrite their business model right now for a lot of the reasons that I said earlier. So many other peoples that are the kings of the economy are rewriting their business plan. They're rewriting their business model. The politician has to too. The leadership has to too. And I do believe Doug Burgum was that first one in North Dakota. I do believe that, where he came in and said we're going to look at government differently, and he did. He made some changes, and he understood oil and gas right away. He put a challenge up, 2 million barrels a day.
But remember, the North Dakota governor is very weak in terms of an executive. It can't do much. It's a bully pulpit more.
He's a businessman.
Well, I get it, but I'm going to tell you the challenge there is.
That is a challenge.
It is a challenge, and
I think he's leaning on his wife a lot for it.
Well,
to bring out the human
part of
side,
that is there's a dynamicism of the governor driving consensus with policymakers in the legislative process, and I think with Doug, his style is very casual, and so I think that really appeals. It doesn't for everybody, but it one of the points, and I've known Doug for a lot of years, going back, when I did some ambassador stuff for John Hoban when he was governor, and Doug talked a lot about, he used to give this talk about technology and compression in ag, and it's a neat talk, and I don't know if he's done it recently, but it's the innovation that occurred in agriculture where we had something like 60,000 farms, now we have 20,000. The average farmer used to farm 160 acres, now it's like 4,000. And he gave this wonderful talk about how technology and innovation have caused less people to be in agriculture, and agriculture is 10 times more productive than it ever was. Well, the same thing is very true in energy. There's Moore's law, right? Costs come down and productivity accelerates. However, hold on. One of the things that Doug said is when you're in a place like North Dakota where there's the twin sisters of energy and ag, we used to talk a lot before the boom about diversification of our economy. So back in the early 2000s when John Hoban came in, John was sort of an advocate of taking our core competencies and looking to ways to diversify the fringes. And we haven't had that conversation in a decade. Because when you're at 2% unemployment and there's 30,000 jobs, you don't have the conversation. But if we don't have that conversation about taking core competency and looking at how do we do entrepreneurship, how do we do diversification of resources, using the infrastructure we have to drive peripherals, then we aren't as reliant on any one industry or any one sector. And also, when you have dominant industries, when you have peripheral industries, it creates a lifestyle dividend that, when you have a spouse that's not working in the energy industry, well, what does that spouse do that's meaningful and enjoyable? And so there's a lot of opportunities for diversification. Now, I know it's an east versus west thing, but I think on this side of the state, we've seen a diversified economy. Education, healthcare, ag, manufacturing, trade, tourism, all of that. It gives us a buffer here. And I think that we should, from a policy perspective, be looking at ways that we should be, or thinking about not diversifying the whole industry, but what are ways that we can do better? I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is, if another plug for the east-west connection as opposed to the east-west divide is, last week we had Senator Hoban on, and we talked about the kind of the eastern hub, really the anchor, if you will. You got Grand Forks, you got Wahpeton and Fargo for the UAS industry. Okay, that's the unmanned aerial systems, the drones, which really the energy industry is helping usher in through security, through monitoring, through a number of different things. And Grand Forks is where the Grand Sky Air Base is. Now keep in mind, North Dakota is one of 7 states that's a test state. So there's only 6 others in the United States that are allowing this type of rule writing, basically rule writing. We're writing the rules here. Yeah. And furthermore, the EERC, the Energy Environmental Research Centers in Grand Forks. NDSU, what a lot of people don't know is a lot of codes come right out of NDSU, whether it's for the UAS industry, whether it's for the oil industry, whether it's for the ag industry. You've got a lot of people in computer science chunking away for the rest of the state. Now you go down to Wapaton. Well, we got a tech school down there. We got a manufacturing.
You have a very
system.
good chance. You have a very good president of that.
Very good.
John Richmond.
John Richmond, very good president
Good
of North Dakota Wapaton. I forget what they're called now, but they changed.
He's a local boy. You know, he went there.
State School of Science.
North Dakota State, Mary, what is it?
North Dakota State School of Science.
I
North
think he
Dakota
was the
State
first
School of
president
Science.
that was actually had gone to the school, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It was fantastic.
So what Hovind was trying to explain was that the state really needs to work together because the East is an anchor for the rest of the state. Now, if you take a look at those state budgets, now Ed Schaefer was the one pointed out a number of years ago that 25 to 30% of the state budget's tied to the oil and gas industry that has traditionally had a cyclical way of going. So I'm not telling you how to do your business, but heads up. This has been discussed in the past.
So we had a conversation one time. This would be a great program. We should do this as a topic. What if they would have done East and West Dakota back in the day?
I remember that.
And I had this conversation with a bunch of people from South Dakota. And I said, and I was representing Rapid City at the time, and this is before the oil boom. This would have been 1999.
What a fun conversation.
And can you imagine, and we actually had a serious conversation. I said, if you put a vote to the south, because they have a worse east-west relationship between Rapid City and Sioux Falls, and a very weak peer, right? If you put it to a vote prior to the oil boom, we're going to partition to West Dakota and East Dakota, it would have been 80% of both populations would have agreed. And can you imagine Rapid City, Fargo, Grand Forks, Watertown, and then you had Mount Rushmore and the oil boom and Bismarck and a weak peer? Wow. It would make, or better yet, instead of like Texas, instead of they could have divided it, what if it would have just been Dakota? Mm-hmm. And we just had the state of Dakota, and then
exactly.
we had, I mean, that would be a powerhouse, Division I football included. So I think there's some interesting, but the horse and buggy didn't get to the capital.
Minneapolis would still have a higher population.
Oh yeah,
than
everybody
North and
hates
South
Minneapolis. Oh, by the
Dakota.
way, and outstate Minneapolis or Minnesota has more animosity towards Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So every state has these divides, folks.
So and what we're getting
Really
at
good.
now is that this whole,
Kumbaya.
you know what, 2 towns over, a rival, it's got to
Unless
go
you're
away.
from unless you're from Napoleon, and then you're out.
Leave the bravado with the sports. Napoleon. I was talking rugby. Anyways,
Velva.
no, leave the bravado with the sports because honestly, when we're talking about the economy, families are involved here. And I used to say during the oil boom all the time, just go drive by Fargo Tank. That guy didn't have a tank in his lot during the oil boom. Now he's got a whole lot full again. But before then, he didn't have anything. And that was just a weird example. I happened to one day driving down Main Avenue in Fargo. I used to call Minneapolis the biggest winner of the Bakken boom.
It was for a while.
It was
for sure.
in the beginning. It really
Especially
was.
with the picks and shovels.
It was
This is where all the
absolutely.
supplies came from.
It had the distribution and supplies all set up, and the financing too.
Yeah.
They had the financing in Minnetonka set up for this type of thing. So, anyway,
Those guys took a bath, though, the private equity guys.
getting
It's
back,
always nice to see people in Minneapolis lose their tail in North Dakota.
it kind of is.
Yeah, it's just great.
But getting back to it, one of the reason that we're here today
Sorry, I
is,
shouldn't have said that. It's terrible.
is to talk about this Wall Street Journal article, which started the whole East versus West topic again, which we haven't heard for at least 5, 6, 7 years since the oil boom started.
And there was no harassment in the article?
There was a little
No.
bit from the East.
No, harassment. Yeah, because I would have thought that there would have been, like, somebody in Minot or something would have been harassing somebody in Dickinson.
I bet I got 20-some emails on this.
Yeah?
Oh, I got a lot of emails. In fact, one guy sent me an email, and you know what he said? He goes, he started talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline, the way the state handled that. One of the biggest protests in the nation's history, right? As far as people coming out, veterans from all over the country, you got Hollywood, all this other stuff, you know. But they said that a lot of the PR that was done after the British Petroleum pipeline spill wiped out completely.
Here's the sad reality, folks.
All the money they piped into PR,
Okay,
gone.
But here's the deal.
I don't agree with that,
Hold
but
on.
I heard it.
Hold on. You got to think through this logically. All right. Now, all of you sitting at home are gonna totally relate to this. 30 years ago, you had a newspaper and 3 network TV, or let's just say 40 years ago. You had a nightly news broadcast, you had a newspaper, and you had a radio station. And you remembered the news cycles from day to day, and everybody believed what was in the news. Okay? I'm not making commentary here, I'm just saying this. The amount of information that flies at people today, we can't even remember the Vegas shooting from a couple of weeks ago. there is so much hitting us every day. North Korea, Trump, now today's Flynn, and blah, 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 blah. The human brain cannot even comprehend. I've turned the TV off. I can't. I'm just watching historical videos on YouTube about World War I because it's more pleasurable than, you know, watching the news or trying to compress and digest all of this. So my assertion is this. People forget this stuff so fast nowadays unless it impacts them directly and locally, okay? Because when you open up your property tax bill, okay, you remember that. If your kid can't get a doctor, you'll remember that. If you got an issue with your health, you're going to remember that. But beyond that, the sort of hypothetical or the not here or the stuff I read about, I think we're completely desensitized to things nowadays. And we've lost our humanity. And we've gained our humanity at the same time because there's so many instances of the cancer kid or the family that really helps somebody or the guy that gives his kidney to some stranger. Those are the things that are the best in us, but this stuff gets lost now, and there's no way to stay above that noise. So as much as I hear your passion around it, it was forgotten 45 minutes after I read it.
But the reason I have a passion for it, and the reason I still bring it up, is because of this creates an opportunity for all those things you just said.
I agree.
That's what I'm talking about.
But what I'm saying is, is the information valid? Okay, so part of, I think, your discussion is there really this east-west divide, right?
No, there is, because it's right here.
I get it, but how pronounced is it? Okay.
I don't know, man.
But that's the conversation we're having.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm coming down to is on the ground, the information somewhat gets skewed. Like you've done an interview, and then you read the interview that you did, and you're like, that's not even what I said.
No, I get that.
All the time.
I get that. But I think there's enough here to say that the East-West has a historical...
It has a historical tied mostly to resources and envy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And because there was money, and because money is tight
put
now...
people on the crack pipe. And
it is already coming back. And so what we're here today to do is say, let's just nip it in the bud right now. Let's just not have any more of these Wall Street Journal articles that say the
solution?
Civil War.
I mean, what's the solution?
The solution is that the leadership needs to reinvent leadership. We're going back to what Doug Burgum said, which is you need to reinvent government, which is a new leader needs to emerge. Now, I'm not saying that, okay, State Representative Jeff Delzer is a bad leader, but maybe he needs to reinvent how he leads. That's what I'm saying. Right now, I am reinventing my company, okay? I've got 30-some publications and radio stations that carry my stuff. But we've got over 250. No, what I'm saying is
the budget austerity that we have right now in North Dakota is driving some of that reinvention.
But
it just is.
But it has to go with reinventing how you approach things, how you mindset, how you look
What
at
if it's
things.
working?
It's not working.
What isn't working?
It's not working.
No, but like at state government. No, I'm going to play the counter argument with you. So I call state government today. I get an answer on the first ring. I think that's too much government.
I was going to say I don't want them that responsive.
As a matter of fact, I've had government officials drive out and do meetings with me. I think that's pretty darn responsive. I dealt with 3 things this week at North Dakota: securities issue and 2 permit, and it was perfect.
The biggest complaint I heard.
I think they're overstaffed.
Here's the thing.
But I think it works wonderfully. It's like communism. Everybody had a job.
Yeah, the biggest complaint I've heard from people is that as technology increased, we were sold on the fact that we were going to be more efficient, but yet we added more people.
Okay, but
from a government standpoint.
Hold on a second there.
That's what I've heard.
But are we talking about teachers when schools were growing? Because those are government workers.
No.
Are we talking about mandated nursing care?
No, I think they're talking about administration.
I agree.
The idea behind computers was supposed to shrink administration.
I think that Bismarck, with the lobby they have in Bismarck, unlike Pierce, South Dakota, where there are such a big block of folks. I'm not being political. I'm just saying this is reality. You're going to protect your job security anywhere you are. And there's the want versus the need. I think there's the nice to... John Hovind used to say this all the time. He's like, we always have more need than money. Or always have more want than budget. And so you have to prioritize. I think that I should have to be on hold for an hour. No, I swear. Now, you guys are going to crush me for this. If you're unwilling to use the government's online system, okay, Uber or Google or Facebook, you can't call Facebook for customer service. I think you should have to minimum be on a hold time for 1 hour when you call North Dakota, okay? Or you use the online system. We have rent people.
Or
we charge them
there.
we charge them a surcharge if they don't pay online to make it painful. Why are they making it easy for people to get a telephone call answered on the first phone when we have a budget problem?
That's the same concept if you get a 5% discount if you use cash.
If nominated, I will not run, and if elected, I will not serve. But I mean, that's the stuff you don't want to hear because people get mad.
I stand by my
Give me a government.
my
give me
thesis.
A stove, Governor Langer.
My thesis today is that I am hearing more and more East versus West bickering going on. I'm hearing more and more
specifically about budget.
to the tune to where I've seen it in the Wall Street Journal and have had many people email me. So I'm here today to say we need to rethink how we lead.
Or it's a scapegoat. It could be a bit of a scapegoat.
No, we need to nip it in the bud, man. If the oil and gas industry is changing their business model, the media is changing their business model, healthcare is changing their business model, maybe government needs to change its business model too. And Doug Burgum said that, and he's going in to try to do that. Now, has he done it for the better? I don't know. That's a whole different conversation.
I don't think he has the authority to do a lot of it, is what I'm saying.
But he does.
Well, he kind of does. But he still requires legislative, you know.
Anyway, that's where I'm getting. My thesis today is that I'm not trying to tick anybody off by bringing up this story.
No,
what I'm saying is that this leadership needs to be reinvented because
but
right
look at
now,
what happened to Rex Tillerson when he tried to reinvent the State Department. He got fired.
Rex has got I like Rex a lot, actually.
Well, I know, but what happened is he goes in the State Department, he starts saying we have redundant positions, he starts saying this is inefficient because I'm a corporate guy, and everybody blows up and says, you're hurting the State Department, this is government, you can't run it the same as private enterprise, and that's the problem when you have a private citizen or a private business guy go into public policy.
Yeah, all I hear there is that a lot
I think Doug's doing a good job.
Well, I think what's happening is a lot of people that are not afraid are moving ahead, and a lot of people that are afraid are really afraid to move ahead.
But you got to realize
that's it. That's the root of it.
I agree, but you know, here in a state like this, if you're a legislator, you're a volunteer. It's like being on a nonprofit board. There is no glory in being a state legislator. You have pain and suffering just the way it was supposed to be.
Sounds like they're afraid.
No, I mean, you know how big of a sacrifice it is to go do those 100 days for these legislators? They don't get paid anything. They get yelled at all the time. It's hard work. And we're beating the crap out of them all the time. I feel sorry for them. I think they should be paid $30,000 a year. No, I swear to God they should. And if you're under 30 years old, I'll double your pay. So because no, I swear. Why would you be a young 35, 40-year-old person and run for the legislature? In many places, there's not even candidates that want to go serve in the legislature. And I've been an advocate for this forever. You want new leadership? Then pay these people something. Now, every legislator I said that to goes, "You're crazy, Train." I go, "Yeah, but how's the guy going to take the young person, leave his job for 100 days?"
Maybe we should take a.
Should be like the National Guard.
Maybe
man.
we should do a story on net worth before and after people go to Congress.
Well, I'm talking because state legislature, dude. Like I would make the argument it goes down.
Well, apparently the federal people figured out how to make a living.
That's ridiculous. They should have term limits.
I know that, but
then they'd have to vote for that.
I know. They're not good. They give themselves.
Hey, what about this? Presidency is a 1-6-year term period. That's it.
All right, let's bring her back here, Mike. We're getting too far outside the box here.
Yeah,
but
it's Friday afternoon.
That's right. That's part of it. Is that we're getting a little bit.
See, we like to have fun on Fridays.
But the 60,000 Facebook subscribers. Thank you very much. I know we picked up some more this week. I appreciate that very much. Took a look at that. 47 near 50,000 in Marcellus. Yeah, we had a lot of North Dakota talk today, but as you know, North Dakota is setting the standard for so many other shale plays across the nation because we have a very business-friendly environment, which is what a lot of the politicians like to say, which we do. We've got a very business-friendly environment. That's why we had...
And I want to plug Mary Shimke, who is our editor at Bakken.com. She's in here. She's from Harvey. Don't hold that against her. But
she waved at us.
She's waving, okay. But Mary is a tireless worker. She's been here since we started and has been a good friend and a great champion. And her and Jason, for whatever reason, like each other.
So we're getting things done here, and we're having these Facebook Lives. And so, what?
Give us your feedback on ways we could do better.
Absolutely. In fact, the person that said because of our last guest we lost credibility, leave us some more feedback.
Absolutely.
That's what we want. We want feedback. We want to figure out how to make this
Never
better.
bring Mike
Because
on
guess
ever
what?
again.
We are in talks with a television network because they need content. And because they need content, we have content. We might actually have a soon-to-be television program, which is basically
I didn't even know
this
that.
repackaged for television. So what we're doing is we're taking the interviews and we're putting them into newspapers.
Nobody reads these anymore.
We're putting them into magazines. We're getting them on the radio. And then we're also on Facebook and the other social medias as well. So we are a full multimedia organization. This week's topic, the East-West Divide Connect. We'd like to have more connected
Is
going
next
on.
week's topic sewing?
Next week,
Or knitting? I haven't figured that out.
I think we're going to talk organized crime.
Oh my gosh.
You
Or
got
tattoos.
that.
We're gonna do a tattoo segment. I know.
I'll
we're
tell you
gonna
what,
do
we'll leave it up to the audience. What do you want us
Yeah.
to talk about next week? Because you know what? Because we're on the internet, we can go a lot of
Yeah.
different
I think
directions.
tattoo contest would be great.
And I think, in fact,
I'll
we
get
should
one live.
we should have
We
Mary.
have one. Mary has one.
should get a tattoo
No,
live
she has
on Facebook.
tattoos.
No, get one live on Facebook.
Oh, that'd be great.
From a
Or
Bakken
best tattoo, we'll pay for the tattoo, but it has to be on their forehead.
All right, well, we got all kinds of ideas. Sounds to me like we should
I
pour
think we probably
ourselves
shouldn't drink
another
anymore, but
glass,
yes, this was
and
fun.
we're going to have that. So thank you for joining us this
Thanks.
week. Mike Marcil, Jason Spiess, Orange Property Management, The Crude Life, Bakken.com. We've got a nice content partner.
And Maxwells today.
Maxwells, thank you very much for being our sponsor today. Thank you for
Great.
allowing us here. Mary, appreciate it as always. And today's topic, the East-West Connect, was to get the perception percolated, to get some conversation going. We're not here to sling any arrows or throw any daggers. We're here to say this is a serious issue. We need to act as a state together for the greatest industry, in my opinion, the oil and gas industry. That's it from here at Maxwell's. My name is Jason Spiess, Mike Marcil. We'll see you next
Have
week.
fun.
Okay, you want to hit that one too?